Oh, gross. Oh, hey, friends. It's your good friend Tim Campbell Smith, and today I'm going to tell you, if you're thinking about a career in social work, some of the things they don't tell you about social work school, because let me tell you, it is not like other degrees. There are a few surprising things about getting your degree in social work. If you want to help people, you should know. You gotta know, I didn't think anything of it. Almost all of these things I'm about to tell you, I didn't think were out of the ordinary until I told people in other majors and I told people in other careers. And they were shocked by. So I want to help manage the expectation for you. Before we go too far, make sure you like and subscribe for all things business, higher ed, mental health, photography, and life. First, here's something you should know and be prepared for. You are gonna do so many self-reflections, and on every nook and corner of your soul, you're gonna reflect on your identity, your beliefs, your values, your culture, your sense of self, your beliefs about the world, and you're gonna reflect on how that informs and influences and shapes all the other things you do. Because some of those parts of yourself can be helpful in social work and to others, and some of those parts of yourself can be harmful to others and can impede your own ability to help others. So you're gonna reflect, and you're gonna reflect on some uncomfortable things, and that's gonna be a part of the process. Second, in your social work program, you are truly going to figure out how awful the world is. Social workers' fundamental role is to alleviate human suffering. To do that, you have to understand what causes human suffering. And oh my gosh, are you going to explore human suffering from every single dimension possible. You're gonna read it academically, you're gonna read stories, you're gonna watch videos, you're gonna have guest speakers, and you're gonna hear how awful the world is. So resilience and hope are really crucial, and they're gonna kind of ingrain that in you, or you're not gonna make it from the earliest days of your program. And when you learn about how awful the world is and all the problems with the world, you're also going to be taught, it's going to be drilled into your skull, that changes are not small, they are not easy, they are not fast, that it takes time, that it takes people, that it takes changes in belief systems. So here's a quick example, true story. I was taking this course on social determinants of health, all the things that affect your health that don't have to do really with your biology or your genetics or what's going on inside your body. And in the course, I kind of made a joke to my prof. I said, hold on, I think I figured it out. The problem with the medical system is doctors, and that we put doctors at the center and at the top of the entire universe. But if we could put something like social workers to care for people and do lots of things, we could solve a lot of problems. And my prof, an expert in this field, agreed. And she was like, yeah, what a great solution. And then she was like, and where are the tens of billions of dollars going to come from? And how are you going to convince politicians to do that? And especially convince politicians on matter that could cause them to lose their jobs. And how are you going to convince the country that's a good idea? And also, doctors are currently at the head of power systems that could enact or stop that. So how are you going to convince them to give up power? And that's when I realized why human suffering happens on all levels. Next, another shocking thing from the world of social work and social work school is you will learn that there are 18 different ways to do any one thing, and you have to be comfortable with kind of guesstimating or using your education to figure out your own path forward and a path to solve a problem. And you have to be comfortable knowing that 3 other people would do it 5 other ways. So you're constantly kind of guessing like, okay, here's what I think I'm gonna do in this situation, here's how I think it's smart, and use all the evidence you have available to you and hope for the best. So here's an example that was actually given to me by a prof. You have a client who is a justice-involved man in his mid-30s, was a child of abuse, and comes to you to work on anger management. Do you use CBT, DBT, ACT, or skills training? Do you use a combination? What combination do you use? For how long? There are lots of different ways to do things, and you have to be so incredibly comfortable carving your own path and doing it and hoping the evidence kind of supports you and figuring out what the evidence is that could support that approach. And being comfortable knowing that 3 other people could do it, 5 other ways. There's no one way to solve a problem. Next, and it's funny because this is both my experience, but I also read about this in academic literature. Something you do not expect in social work education is for the call to come from inside the house. The problems in the world out there that you're trying to solve are right inside your program. The people you want to support, that you want to help. I'm going to be bold here and say some people think that they can fix other people. Those very people are in your program and they are with you. So how do you handle all the things that you don't like with the world, things you want to change, things you want to improve, being right there in front of your face? When you expect that, or you kind of hope everyone around you is altruistic and they're just as hopeful as you, but they may also be just as problematic as you. And not just the people, the program and the institution. For example, you may have social work profs. Oh, wait, this is actually a true story. Reading week, you get a week off. I have since come to learn, since going back to school, it's not a week off. But you have your reading week. You have that kind of week of no classes. And our social work profs would even say to us, they'd say, have a great week. Practice self-care. Dedicate a whole day to doing nothing or only doing things that bring you joy. And then those exact same people will say, work on the major paper for my course and for every other course, and make sure to get ahead on your readings because I assigned 3 extra readings. The problems in the world aren't out there. They're within your program as well, and you will experience that. What will you do when a Christian nationalist is in your program and that uses that ideology to not only fuel their desire for social work, but uses it in social work practice? Heck, what about conservatives? I've heard from a couple of friends who identify as conservatives, like they struggle to admit that identity because in social work, sometimes there's an expectation that we're all very left-leaning, we're all very liberal. All of that to say, it can be very difficult to want to change the system when you are being harmed by the system from the inside and while you are still in training and in your program. The final, I think, shocking and can be surprising thing about social work education is that you are largely expected to expedite and speed up your learning of the 3 primary social sciences: psychology, sociology, and anthropology, and key details about them. Now, please note, this is kind of program specific because I do know, like at TMU at the time of recording, Toronto Metropolitan University, in first year, they do make you take a class on psychology, a class on sociology, and a class on political science. But that's actually rare. I go to Laurier. We are not expected to take any specific branch of social science. But in our program, we are expected to learn sociology, psychology, and anthropology, and the parts that are relevant and used in social work, we're expected to learn it faster. So I know there's one course, for example, at Laurier in second year, where you have to learn the ins and outs of both attachment theory and childhood development from 0 to 18, which is normally like a whole course in psychology. You have to learn that within a couple units in one course, among other things. You, at the same time, have to figure out what is culture, what is cultural development, and what are cultural influences on a person in a very quick amount of time, for yourself and for your clients or consumers. You have to wrap your head around concepts like neoliberalism and late-stage capitalism, and how that affects both the individual on a micro level, the person right in front of you, and macro on a societal level, so that you can work competently in any of those areas, because neoliberalism and late capitalism affect us all. And often your program will not give you time or space to do this, or you have to go out of your way to choose to do them as electives. So you've got to be smart, and especially with the social sciences, you've got to pick up those concepts quickly. And that's just a few to start on things that may surprise you about social work education. I kind of want to say it kind of makes sense because this is a professional degree. It is I would say an underrated and underappreciated industry. So you're kind of thrown to the wolves in your education. A bachelor's is 4 years, a master's is 1 or 2 years, and even that's not terribly as long as it could be to figure out a lot. And remember, part of this problem and what makes this surprising is that in social work, you are being trained to be competent in many different things as quickly as possible. Comment and let me know if you're in social work, if anything surprised you about your social work education. Otherwise, make sure you like and subscribe for all things higher ed, business, mental health, photography, and life. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye for now.